My name is Kartik Paramasivam. I work at LinkedIn. I manage the Streams infrastructure group at LinkedIn. So in the last, uh, I think the interesting part of this question is in the last 12 months because, um, big data has been around for at least a couple of years. But yeah, in the last 12 months, um, the there has been. So first of all, I think in terms of just ingesting big data and then storing big data, I think that space has become very mature now. Um, Getting data into the cloud, as there are lots of options now. Um, the other thing that is that continues to happen in the last 12 months is the cost of storing data in the cloud. This big data has is continuously going down. So big data is getting more and more real. Um, but in terms of the real changes, functional changes, we see a lot more integration in terms of big data systems. So there are data islands, in terms of big data databases, data warehouses, processing systems. Now we see a lot more integration between all of these. So if you have to build an application that uses all of these things, it's just becoming more and more easier because the integration is kind of more built in now. Um, we also see like more evolution on the verticals, like for example IoT, Internet of Things, as a vertical, um, now has a lot more first class attention. There are like pre-packaged products which are basically big data products if you look at it, where they have tuned it so that it's just easier to build a Internet of Things application, right? Previously people would have to do it themselves using some big data technologies. But now, since the lower level of the stack has become more mature, we see evolution happening on the higher level, um, and, uh, and and that's kind of happening in IoT, and that's happening in other domains as well. Um, so data becomes more of a kind of invisible, so to speak, as people can just focus at the higher level more and more. And I expect that to happen, continue to happen more in the next year and so on. Yeah. Um, so first off, I can't differentiate between smart data and good data. For me, good data has to be smart data. So um, the question for me is whether I prefer small data, which is good, versus big data, and the inference or the implication to that question is, when you have big data, it doesn't necessarily mean it's good data. It's just a lot of data, and it takes money and takes energy to process it and make some meaning out of the big data, right? Um, so the question is, whether we would prefer small, good data versus big data, which where it's expensive to store, um, or rather expensive to kind of maintain. I'd still prefer big data because first off, I think um, the premise of the fact that so managing big data has become cheaper, has become easier. You can it's not very expensive. You can actually have tons and tons of data. You can have, even if you're processing right now, and how much you use the knowledge of the big data is low right now. I think um, you know now is the time for people to get into this because the tools are there, right? The tools are there for you to analyze and crunch this big data and come up with interesting new business models or business ideas and evolve your business. So the days of small data, I think, are gone. I think everything's going to be big data if it's not already there. You know. Um, So this is the first time I've been here for to Big Data Spain. So it's hard for me to compare this edition of Big Data Spain with the previous edition. So far, I've really enjoyed my time. It's been this is my first day here. So the audience seems to be we have a big audience and a lot of interested people. So yeah, I think it's going pretty well.